no one was looking. We're searching the area, just in case she's still around.
Isaac's not happy about it.
No shit.
Escape. What the fuck are they talking about? Don't make a fucking sound. Hands up.
Easy. Easy.
Do you know a girl named Nora?
Sure, yeah.
Where is she?
In the hospital.
Where in the hospital?
Yeah, they're clearing out the upper floors. She's somewhere in there.
That was dumb.
Boat's away. Word is we're almost wrapped up.
Good. I got my girl waiting for him for Bob.
You shitting me? They put you with Joe again?
Upstairs.
Hey, we get the job done.
I bet you do. Oh, this is not fair.
I'm telling you, man. Data soldier. It makes these shifts so much easier.
Sure. I'll keep that in mind.
Fuck. Sounds like scars are getting closer.
Hope that's our guys executing those freaks.
Hey, did you hear why we're all getting called up to the fob?
I heard that Isaac wants us to retake all of downtown.
I heard we might take the fight to them.
Oh, no way. Not after what went down last time. Even Isaac isn't that crazy.
It's what I heard.
Shut up.
All right, calm down.
Charlotte! We're under attack! Sticky tape from that way! I'll go check it out. I got you covered. Holy shit! Shit! Look out! Move! Over here! Drop her now, crook! Asshole! I found her!
Find another way off!
That you, Nora?
Maybe if you posted more guards, Abby would still be herself.
The fuck was Abby here?
I'm not stupid. You're gonna tell us where she went.
When Isaac talks to us about this...
I'm getting tired of this.
Nora. Nora! I'm not going down for her, man.
Don't scream. Put that shit down. You remember me? Yeah. You remember me.
I wish things were different.
Ellie!
But they ain't.
Please stop!
I'm leaving tomorrow.
To do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
How'd you find us?
You can't stop this.
I want what you want. But not at any cost. I really hope you make it.
I have to finish it.
We could have killed you.
Maybe you should have.
I'm Neil Druckmann, Vice President of Naughty Dog and the Director of The Last of Us Part 2. We're just a few weeks away from launch on June 19th, when the game will finally be in your hands. The wait has been long, and we're extremely grateful for your patience, especially now in the midst of these unprecedented and challenging times. We hope you're all taking care of yourselves and that you, your friends, and your loved ones are doing well. Because of these extraordinary circumstances, we can't be together in this final stretch and share the experience like we usually would. So today we're trying something different. Something we've never done before. Over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to give you an in-depth look into what awaits you in The Last of Us Part 2, including new details about the gameplay experience and story. And to cap it all off, we'll be showing a never-before-seen, lengthy gameplay sequence. You'll definitely want to stick around for that.
I don't know what happened. I was supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away. They were actually going to make a cure. The only catch, it would kill her.
The Last of Us Part 2 picks up Ellie and Joel's story several years after the events of the first game. Ellie and Joel have settled in Jackson, Wyoming, amongst a thriving community of survivors. With the threats of the world kept outside the town's walls, Jackson has been able to find relative peace and even stability. Ellie is now 19, lives on her own, and has been able to forge lasting relationships within the community.
Scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our kiss from last night?
However, this peace is short-lived. Jackson and Ellie suffer a violent and traumatizing event. Ellie sets off back into the treacherous outside world in search of retribution and justice. Her journey will take her to new parts of the country previously unexplored in The Last of Us. The story spans multiple seasons and climates, from the snow-capped mountains of Jackson to the lush Pacific Northwest. Each introduces a wide range of exterior and interior environments for you to navigate and explore, rendered in meticulous detail and unprecedented scale with the latest iteration of the Naughty Dog engine. Our goal was to make these environments not only beautiful, but feel as grounded and authentic to the cities they're based on as possible. Much of the story unfolds in what remains of Seattle, a massive former quarantine zone. Its locales are incredibly diverse, spanning a dense city center with a skyline of towering high-rises to the beautiful suburbs and stormy waterfronts that surround it. The city exhibits drastic shifts in architecture, elevation, and weather. And with Part 2, we've introduced new traversal mechanics that afford greater exploration and ways to navigate threats. Ellie is not only able to climb and jump over gaps, but she can use ropes to scale vertical terrain or swing over obstacles, allowing you to discover new areas, resources, and side narratives. These more open environments also create new strategic considerations in combat, whether it's to get the jump on enemies or bypass them entirely. The Last of Us Part 2 features some of the largest environments we've ever created. Horseback riding will allow Ellie to quickly cover some of these expansive terrains. Some streets are so flooded that a boat is required to navigate them. However, the world of The Last of Us is as lush and inviting as it is deadly. As Ellie uncovers the path to finding those who have wronged her, she must face the many threats of this unknown city. In the wake of the pandemic and the fall of the quarantine zone, Seattle has become a war zone, where two warring factions find themselves in an ongoing conflict for territory and resources. One of these groups is the Washington Liberation Front, otherwise known as the WLF. The WLF are a militia group that began as resistance to the military occupation of Seattle, and eventually wrestled control of the city from them. They are highly trained, organized, and well-equipped with weapons they stole from the army. They occupy much of the city, imprisoning or killing trespassers on sight.
Hey, we got another trespasser. A girl. Did you see her?
On the other side of this bloody conflict is a group of religious zealots called the Seraphites, or Scars, defined by the self-inflicted deep cuts that they bear across their faces. Like the WLF, they're deeply tribalistic and territorial. They're known for being stealthy, using overgrowth as cover, and they use more silent weapons like bows and arrows.
Clip her wings.
But beyond this conflict among survivors, the threat that originally brought the world to its knees is very much present. Every human is in danger of falling victim to the infected. They are the recently infected runners who are more numerous and aggressive in this game. The blind but extremely deadly clickers, and the stalkers who sneak and hide until they're ready to attack, surprising their victims with extreme agility and brutal violence. The Last of Us Part 2 introduces new stages of infected, such as the Shamblers. Large, heavily armored enemies that are covered in pustule. Upon getting close to you, they expel a corrosive spore cloud that burns its victims. But our most terrifying and lethal new forms of infected will have to wait until you play the game for yourselves. Overcoming these threats will require careful consideration of how you approach every combat encounter and how you leverage Ellie's unique skills, equipment, and the environment to your advantage.
Let's get in there.
The WLF patrol the streets of Seattle with guard dogs, which are capable of detecting and following you, even while in cover.
You think this guy's connected to the
They can pick up your scent and alert their handlers to your presence. Listen mode will reveal your scent trail, so keep moving and cause distractions to avoid detection.
They could be hiding anywhere.
25 years after the pandemic began, the world is completely overgrown. Use tall grass to hide from enemies and go prone to stay out of sight. However, this form of analog stealth means you're never fully hidden. If enemies get close enough, they can discover you, even in grass. When Ellie is overwhelmed, running away is a viable option. You can also break glass or crawl through tight spaces to find new paths or areas to evade or take on your enemies. In any given combat situation, you can flee an encounter and re-establish stealth to regain the advantage. If you absolutely have to fight your way out, there are a variety of tools at your disposal. Ellie's more agile than most of her enemies. She can sprint and quickly dodge incoming attacks. Learning how opponents attack with different weapons and mastering the timing of your dodges will prevent you from taking damage and create opportunities to counterattack. You can use throwable items or well-placed shots to stun enemies before dealing a killing blow. Or using them as a shield to protect yourself or buy some time to figure out your next move. Ellie isn't always alone on her journey. Allies will take part in helping you navigate the environments, spot enemies, and meaningfully help you in combat encounters.
Back off! Got you now!
Between the human survivors and the roaming infected, there will be times where multiple threats are present, creating new strategic considerations and opportunities. You can choose whether to attack these opponents separately and directly, or find ways to pit them against each other. Flee as they fight, or wait until their numbers have thinned out and engage with whomever's left. Our goal is to create unparalleled tension, coupled with deep systems that give you greater control and influence over your journey. As you play, you'll be able to invest in a broad collection of crafting items, weapon, and player upgrades through training manuals scattered throughout the environment and scavenging for ingredients. These skills and upgrade manuals cater to a variety of playstyles, and the choices you make will create your own distinct experience. We also wanted to extend that agency and personalization to your weapons through our new workbench system. Scavenge for parts to modify and improve your weapon's performance and attributes, all of which are visualized and become part of your character. Survival will also require using the parts and ingredients that you'll find in the environment, which can be crafted into a wide range of defensive and offensive items, like proximity mines, explosive arrows, pistol suppressors, and more. All of these gameplay systems are meant to immerse you in the world and make you feel in lockstep with Ellie's emotional journey. As we've said before, this is Naughty Dog's largest, most ambitious game. It may seem like we covered a lot, but we've only scratched the surface of what it's like to play The Last of Us Part 2. We can't wait for you to experience it all for yourself on June 19th. Until then, here's an extended...
Rated M for mature.
I feel so extraordinary. Something's gotta hold on. I've got this feeling of emotion, a sudden sense of liberty. I used to think that the day would never come. See the light in the shade of the morning sun. My morning sun is the drug that brings me near to the childhood I lost, replaced by fear.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different.
Ellie!
But they ain't.
Please stop!
I'm leaving tomorrow.
To do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
How'd you find us?
You can't stop this.
I want what you want. But not at any cost. I really hope you make it.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
would you rate our kiss from last night?
Look who decided to join us. All right. You all know the drill. Run your routes. Mark your logbooks. You run into anything you can't handle.
Ellie!
You come back.
Dina, where are you? Get off me! Please stop! No!
Tommy. I have to finish it.
You have no idea what you're walking into.
What are you doing?
You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care. You can't stop this. What the hell are you doing here?
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
They are nested with sin. Free them, that they may know my... Yara! Where's the other apostate? Clip her wings.
Yara. Demons are coming. Cut her down. She's one of them. Lev. Watch your backs.
They are nested with sin. What is... Free them.
Oh, shit! No! No,
Jesus.
Spread out.
Watch yourself. Ethan.
What?
Wolf. She came through here. Damn it. Double back. Go.
I have eyes!
Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell on this earth forevermore. Said I walk beside the still waters and they restore my soul, but I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong. No, I can't walk on the path of the right because I'm wrong.
What are you doing, kiddo? You really gonna go through with this?
I'm gonna find. And I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
It's been about a year and a half since we showed anything from The Last of Us Part 2. In that time, we've really been kind of like heads down, quiet, because we want to make sure we have the proper time to do this game justice.
It's definitely our most ambitious in scope game that we've ever made.
We really wanted to wait until we had something awesome and new and exciting to talk about because we've been so mysterious.
Outbreak Day has always been a way for us to communicate with the fans about The Last of Us. It was like the day the outbreak happened in the fictional world of The Last of Us. And once we had this opportunity to line everything up for Outbreak Day, or in this case, kind of an Outbreak Week, we decided to put out a story trailer with the date of when the game's coming out, and then show the press actual gameplay, let them get hands-on with the game. We're always trying to strike a balance of getting people excited for this game, show them a bit more of a glimpse of the themes this game is about, the cycle of violence, this idea of how far would you go to exact revenge to bring justice to the people you love. And then we also show that Joel is back and you get to see him for the first time.
What the hell are you doing here?
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
So we're coming into that first demo in wintertime where snow covers much of the ground, much of the buildings, all the surrounding areas. We see what's life like 25 years after a pandemic has wiped out most of mankind. We pick up Ellie, who was 14 in the first game, is now 19. She's living in the city, Jackson.
Which is where Ellie and Joel have been living for the past 4 years in this sweet settlement. What we come upon is their regular day-to-day life. We're coming in on Ellie and Dina, her best friend, patrolling the outskirts of Jackson, looking for infected to clear out to keep the area safe.
Ellie and Dina at this point have been friends for several years, but there's been underlying romance between these two characters. From the demo we put at E3, where you saw this festival and this dance, and these two characters kissed for the first time, this demo takes place the day after.
And then over the course of the level, they encounter some truly dangerous things.
We wanted, just across the board, to make the enemies more threatening, to raise the tension that we started establishing with the first game. So that means the infected, even the lowest class, the runners, are more dangerous.
Something that was really important to us was empowering all of our characters, right, and making them all equal. Ellie, as we saw in the first game, is incredibly capable, but this is a world where you need to be capable to survive, and we wanted to empower everybody.
And the way that reflects in combat is, yeah, Dina is way more effective.
So when we have Dina going out, while she may seem the less hardened character, she knows how to use a gun, she knows how to stealth, she knows how to kill a clicker as well as Ellie.
When we were looking to expand on The Last of Us 1 to The Last of Us 2, one of the things that jumped out as being an avenue that was really worth exploring was traversal. Ellie is so much more agile, kind of more athletic, that it seemed like we should really pursue this whole avenue of gameplay. Introducing like a real jump, like a real arcing jump, has allowed us to make for much more interesting puzzles, more interesting vertical environments, and can frequently integrate well into combat setups as well.
She's able to move quickly in a lot of different ways. She can dodge attacks. She can squeeze through, we call them squeeze-throughs. Oh, looks like I could fit through that. Oh, I can fit through that. That's cool.
And that has been such a great integration into the combat loop of like, you're fleeing an enemy, or you're trying to get a flank, you're in stealth, and you just kind of like scooch into a room or behind an object. In The Last of Us, you kind of rely on your weaponry. Like, they're frequently the difference between life and death. They're with you for the entire game. A lot of the gameplay choices that you make are based on how you use them, how you evolve them over time through your upgrades. We really wanted to give an opportunity to look at them up close, to interact with them physically. And so the workbench seemed like the ideal place to do that.
I think over the course of the level, just talking about the tech for a second of just a snowy environment, we've got all the deforming snow stuff you'd expect. brushing by on horseback a branch and the snow falling and collecting on the horse, like all these things you would expect in a realistic grounded world. We have this weather, the storm kind of kicks up over the course of the level. It goes from more of a clear day into a blizzard. It's all just to build this tension of, the mess that they got themselves into. Can they make it safely out?
Dina, where are you? Eventually, they end up in this old abandoned library. And it's in this moment where Dina really pokes and wants to get the ball rolling on this flirtation, wants to bring down Ellie's walls.
And they kind of reveal to each other how much they like each other.
You're infuriating. Have you met you?
And then we have a second demo that the press played that's like much later in this story where Ellie started going down this road of revenge. She finds herself in Seattle, pitted against this group that controls the city.
Called the WLF. They're kind of a little bit like a militia that has taken over the town, and they have a very zero tolerance policy on people who are not from Seattle, kind of intruding on their space.
And she hears over the radio that a male trespasser has been spotted, and she knows that the WLF are closing in on him. And so we find her negotiating this abandoned hillside suburb.
And she's running into this new enemy type of guard dogs that the WLF are using. Dogs have a new sense of perception to bring to the table, which kind of puts this really interesting wrinkle on stealth gameplay, where so far you've been dealing with sight and sound, trying to stay out of sight, trying to move slowly to be quiet. But now with enemy dogs, you have to worry about them picking up your scent trail.
If you go into listen mode, you can see, we have a visualization of that scent, so you can see like when the dog is sniffing you and where it's going. You can throw bottles to distract the dog off of your scent, and it just adds this extra tension.
The second part of the demo, even though you're fighting mostly human enemies, we're introducing one of our new infected classes, the Shambler.
And the Shambler is kind of a lumbering, tankier enemy that can take a lot of punishment. They'll kind of chase you down and try to get towards you and then burst and leave behind one of these lingering, corrosive clouds.
In the demo, we have this mini boss fight, and that class happens to be a stalker. It's a class between runners and clickers. It's a class that can hide and run away, and we wanted to do a lot more with them in this game. And because we have this evade mechanic, you can kind of go toe-to-toe with someone, and we can have these boss fights that we weren't able to have before. So you guys can go back and forth and exchange combos and evade each other and slam each other onto like desks, and we can now render all these physics objects, and it's all done in service of just grounding you more in this world, making you more immersed in this fight and feel like Ellie is barely surviving by the edge of her abilities.
So for The Last of Us 2, we've kind of almost completely overhauled the player upgrade system. For the first time in the game, you're able to learn entirely new crafting recipes just via the upgrade system. These are abilities that make your character feel really different. You are really able to pursue the playstyle of your choice and kind of make the Ellie that you're playing your individual Ellie.
We designed the whole experience to be something where it's a balanced stealth experience where you have a lot of tools to escape, you have a lot of tools to evade, you can entirely stealth past everyone.
Got something. We'll look into it.
And then the other big thing we did to immerse the player is make the human enemies much more threatening. They communicate a lot more between each other. Their AI is much more sophisticated. We rewrote most of the systems for this game. So much of this game is a conversation about the cycle of violence and how do we make violence feel impactful to the player.
You can't stop this.
Enemies have names. So when you're going around and you shoot someone, you might hear someone yell their buddy's name and they're now upset and agitated, and that changes their behavior.
What is it? Someone took him out!
We got something.
To make a fully realized world, to really honor the impact of this violence, you have to honor every person in it. Nobody's a hero here.
The demo is 2 to 3 hours of the game. You're seeing 2 different seasons, 2 different times of the year. It feels like a lot, and it's a tiny fraction of this entire game. And as we get closer to release, we're going to show more and more of the game. but we're going to be very mindful and conscious to not spoil like big things about this game, and I'm just super stoked for people to finally see the whole thing once it's out on February 21st, 2020.
Under here.
What the gameplay needs to do is immerse you in the world, give you as many interesting actions to survive in this world and overcome obstacles. And obstacles could be infected, it could be other people, it could just be the environment, it could be rushing water, anything that could happen in this post-apocalyptic world.
Are you clean? Yeah.
But more than anything, it needs to put you in Ellie's shoes, that you're experiencing what Ellie's experiencing, making you feel what she feels. Because the more we do that, the more the emotional beats of the story work for us, and the more they work for us in this very unique way that only works in video games.
The gameplay philosophy of The Last of Us Part 2 is putting you in the shoes of Ellie and everything that that means. It means giving you a threat constantly, as this world has. It means giving you the hard choices.
Because this game takes place in such a hostile universe and our characters are pushed to do really difficult things, we want to put you in alignment with those choices. We want you to understand how hard certain decisions were for these characters, because they're hard for you.
I would say the overarching philosophy of how we approached designing the game mechanically is how can we take things to the next level.
Everything kind of comes out of the story. And how do we do it through systems? So one is you have to feel the pressure of survival. Survive by the skin of my teeth. How do I use all the scrap around me? Any kind of bullet, any kind of rag, any kind of bottle of alcohol. How do we give you that sense of being a survivor in this world? Ellie is very small compared to Joel and more nimble. How do we make you feel like you're not the strongest person in the room, but you still should be able to rise to the challenge and survive, you know, a fight with a bunch of people that are all bigger than you? So therefore it meant creating a character and systems and mechanics that allow you to be much more nimble. And that's where we added a jump button.
Deal.
In the first game we had a clamber button, but not really jumping. And here, Ellie can jump. The combat scenarios are much more vertical, where Ellie can use elevation to her advantage.
Prone is a huge, huge one. Prone, obviously, it means to lay flat on the ground. Something so simple, again, something that in real life you'd be able to do. Letting the player have access to all their weapons, all the items, crafting, everything while in that position. And it just creates so many more emergent things in gameplay.
Now that we have this other state that the player could be in, which are very low to the ground, how else can we use this other than just hiding in vegetation? We're like, well, there's a lot of man-made things or different structures that have collapsed that allow just enough space for you to crawl under, which means that now, as enemies are looking for you, you can crawl under things and hide, and it's just one more way to assess your environment and use it to Ellie's advantage. Now, because you can hide under things, we made them smarter and gave them the ability to look under things. So while you might hide somewhere and be safe for a while, eventually they're going to start looking under stuff, and if you're hiding under a truck and they spot you, they're going to yank you out and then try to kill you.
Dodging is a big one, because now with dodge, anytime you're in a scuffle, you have a chance to get away. You have a chance to counterattack. It lets escape be an option as well. Sometimes you just gotta run. And that is another part of this world, which is sometimes the threat is so overpowering that you just have to get away.
When you are partially hidden, or you're in grass, that means people from afar can't see you, but people from closer can kind of see you. they will eventually acquire you. You're not completely hidden when you're in grass.
She went into the grass. Watch yourself.
And it makes you as a player become much more aware of your surroundings.
Jump, prone, dodge, all these things feed into both exploration and combat because it lets us expand the space. The size of spaces can be bigger, the intricacy of spaces can be more complex, and it still works exactly as you would expect.
So when it came to our level design, we really wanted to challenge ourselves to make a world that really felt like a real space as much as we possibly could and didn't feel like a series of combat encounters and exploration spaces and then combat encounters that felt like a Hall of Horrors or something, but something that really felt like a space that you could explore that seemed like a legitimate urban environment. And that pushed us to make our level design even more open than it was in the first game, which for us at the time was pretty open. In this game, we've gone so far in making the level design open that there are actually entire story moments, entire combat encounters, like full scripted sequences that you may completely miss. And there are things that we feel like, even though a portion of our player base may never see these things, the fact that when you do encounter them, you feel like you discovered them, it lends them this charm and this magic that I think is unique to games, that, you know, this happened to me because of what I did and the place I explored to.
Crafting is very much about a payoff to exploration, meaning that when you enter new spaces, you want to look around for supplies. You want to open drawers and cabinets and look for different things that will allow you to craft either items that can help you heal, items that can help you attack multiple enemies at once, such as the Molotov or the landmine that Ellie can craft. Items that can help augment your weapons, like the silencer for her pistol, or craft new kinds of ammo.
It also gives us tons of interesting gameplay choices and overlaps that you can do at any moment and on the fly. We try to be a game that wants you to make a lot of different decisions in combat as possible. And the way that we've expanded the recipe roster and all of the recipes and how they interact with each other is carefully chosen for the different ingredients and making sure that you always have these interesting decisions to make.
We put a much stronger emphasis on the importance of the choices you make in the long term for your character.
It'd be useful.
Through the weapon upgrade system, through the player upgrade system, there aren't enough resources in a single playthrough to fully upgrade your character. The choices that you make, you're going to have to live with, and we wanted to make sure that all of the choices that you made had a really noticeable and tangible effect on the way that you play. You feel a greater kinship with Ellie because you are living with decisions that you've already made. Like you are continuing this through line of her journey through this world, and the moment-to-moment gameplay is influenced by that in a way that we haven't before. The realization that your choices have these long-term consequences is very much like the nature of the narrative of the game. And I'm happy that the mechanics are supporting that.